I'm Leslie, and if you don't know me, during the day I am the DCA program coordinator at MNVA, and I spend my days helping to set up college and career pathways for students that are at MNVA. But in my free time, this is what I like to do. I bake sourdough bread. So what I'm going to do is take you through the process of sourdough, because sourdough is the coolest science experiment that's out there. And when it all comes together, you get gorgeous bread like this that's great to make sandwiches with, to make toast, and to enjoy all different ways. So sourdough starts with this amazing thing called starter. And starter is seriously a crazy, crazy science experiment, because all it is flour and water, and it ferments, and that's what creates all of the interactions to make your bread get big. So typically bread has yeast in it, but sourdough bread doesn't have any of that in it at all. So you have your sourdough starter. So again, I've got a lot of starter in here because I make a lot of bread. Some people have just super small amounts of starter, but I use a lot of it. So I'm going to start by doing Princess Wilhelmina first. And what I have to do is put her on a scale, and I do everything in grams. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 100 grams. Oops, I got to get that to 0. I'm going to add 100 grams of flour to her. Oh, I guess I'm going 130. That was a big scoop. And now I'm going to add 130 grams of water. So when you feed sourdough, you feed it the same amount of water and flour. So 130 and 130 is 260. I have to do math all the time when I make sourdough. And I have to be careful adding water because water enters quickly. So I'm at 260. And now I'm going to take a spatula and I'm just going to stir this all in. And this is feeding my starter. So what's going to happen in here is the starter that was already there is going to now start eating that new flour that I entered into there when I added this. And it's going to start, as it eats it, it releases gas. And it's eating the sugars in it. And so it's going to get big and puffy throughout the day. So that's why I wanted to start by showing you this first step. So now I fed her. Oops, maybe a little more stir here. You want to make sure to stir it all in the right way. And I'm just going to set her aside. And then I'm going to get Willoughby. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I have weighed, I have mixed my ingredients, and I have 2 crazy looking blobs at this point in time. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to let this, it's called autolyse. And what autolyse is when you let the flour and the water come together and all of the flour gets hydrated with the water that you put in. So it's flour and salt, some of our starter and water, and it's just going to sit now. So I'm going to put some plastic wrap over this, let it sit for an hour, and in an hour I'm going to come back and I'm going to fold it over each other and then let it sit and rise for the rest of the night. Okay, so our bread has been sitting overnight, and now it's time to take a peek and see the magic that happens. Look at that. So those loaves were the ones that looked all scrawny last night, and now these are ready to come out of a bowl and go into what is called the banneton. and sit and rise for another hour, and then they'll go in the oven and we will have the most beautiful sourdough bread. I got my bread into the bannetons and I'm going to cover them again with a towel and just let them rise for 2 hours, and then they'll go in the oven. Moment of truth. Oh, beautiful loaves of bread. They're gorgeous. So now I'm going to take them out and set them here to cool. It's important with sourdough, as much as you want to cut into them, that you don't cut into them for at least 4 hours, because otherwise it dries them out and makes them not as yummy. So there you go. You've seen sourdough from start to finish.